The celebration of Christmas is often called the Festival of Lights. Most of us picture a glowing tree wrapped in strands of gold, silver, and color, a living tapestry of ornaments that carry the memories of the families who decorated them. These lights, so warm and familiar, trace their lineage back to the older traditions. The ancient festival of Yule, when our ancestors honored the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. And if you're curious about Yule, stay tuned. We got a full episode of that coming soon, but not tonight. Tonight, I'm here to unwrap the holiday history, because much like the blurred line between Yule and Christmas, there exists another set of lights, cold and strange, and utterly outside the realm of holiday cheer, that appeared in the forest near Suffolk, England. And these lights will forever be entwined with one of the most important UFO incidents ever recorded. Often called Britain's Roswell, the Rendlesham Forest remains one of the most meticulously studied cases in all of ufology. The case bolstered by multiple military witnesses, physical ground traces, audio recordings, radiation readings, and official government memos. In many ways, it stands as one of the best documented UFO cases in modern history. Tonight, we're going to walk back into those woods, into the frost, the darkness, and the pulsing lights that changed everything. This is the Rendlesham Forest.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm your ghost host. I'm Eric. And with me, as always, Wendy, Queen of the Society. Welcome to the Society, Wendy.
Thank you, honey. Thank you, Eric.
We're back in the Society. We've taken a little hiatus, and I think I kind of overdid myself the way I attacked the Halloween episodes. But I took a step back. I'm reimagining the show, and if you would leave us a comment in the episode notes or wherever you listen, and let us know what you think about the new format. Anyway, today we're talking about one of the most famous UFO cases in the world, the Rendlesham Forest. Like I said, the opening, it's the British version of their Roswell. There was not technically a crash, but there was a craft that was seen by multiple military officers, from privates all the way up to 4-star generals. So it's very well documented. There's lots of there's even a memo that talks about it. To this day, the guys still speak out about it. They talk about their experiences and the things that they witnessed, and they even have physical after effects because of the interaction with the craft. Some of them got sick. Some of them had radiation poisoning. So they suffered from whatever was there. It affected them physically, not only mentally.
So the craft crashed?
No, it didn't crash. It landed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they got to interact with the craft.
There was a soldier that actually touched it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it later took off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we'll get into it once I get to the episode, but it actually lasted for multiple nights.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, it takes place in Suffolk, England, inside the Rendlesham Forest. I see you brought up a picture of the craft there. They drew pictures of the craft to what they think it looked like, and I believe that's a rendition of how they said it looked. They found strange drawings on the side of the craft, almost like hieroglyphs. They found imprints and impressions on the ground where it had landed, and the radiation, the Geiger counters were reading radiation readings off the ground.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It looked almost like a juicer.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's dive into this. Britain's Night of Unsettled Lights. And it takes place on Christmas of 1980. All right. In the closing days of 1980, as the Cold War hummed in the background of daily life, the quiet pine thickets of Rendlesham Forest, nestled between the twin NATO bases of RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, became the unlikely stage for one of the most compelling and contested UFO encounters in modern history. Over the course of 3 nights, a series of sightings, physical anomalies, official memos, and the now famous halt tape would solidify Rendlesham as Britain's Roswell, a case where military personnel, physical evidence, and government ambiguity converged into something that refused to be neatly explained away. Now, the halt tape is one of Charles Halt was one of the soldiers that was out there in the forest, and he walked around with a tape recorder as it was happening in real time and was recording what was happening. And that tape has been released, and you can actually listen to it. And you and I we can listen to it after we record this. I'll try to cut a snip into the episode. It's pretty wild.
Okay, we'll go out toward now it's picking up. This is out toward the number 1 indentation where we first got the strongest reading. And it's similar to what we got in the center. In a pod, this might be in the center. Looks like an area here, possibly. It could be a blast. It's in the center. It's hard to tell. You gotta take this one finger about 3. Here's 2. Up to what, 7? What? Just jumped up to 7/10 there. 7/10 right here in the center? Uh-huh. We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scrubbed up area here. We're getting very positive readings. Let's see, is that here the center? Yes, it is. This is what we would assume would be the dead.
So, on night 1, shortly after midnight on December 25th, 1980, U.S. Air Force security personnel on duty at RAF Woodbridge noticed bright descending lights that appeared to fall into the nearby forest. Assuming an aircraft had crashed, a team of 3 airmen, Staff Sergeant Jim Peniston, Airman First Class John Burroughs, and Airman Edward Habensag, I'm so sorry if I butchered that name, was dispatched into the darkened woods to investigate. What they reported was set the entire base on edge. Now, according to Peniston and Burroughs, the men encountered a metallic, triangular craft sitting silently in a forest clearing. The object, roughly the size of a small car, glowed with shifting colors and emitting a pulsing, almost vibrational energy. Peniston later claimed he walked around the craft, touched the surface, and observed strange raised symbols resembling glyphs or hieroglyphs. The surrounding farm animals were reportedly in a frenzy, and the forest air was thick with static electricity. But after several minutes, the object lifted soundlessly off the ground and maneuvered through the trees before disappearing into a burst of light. When daylight came, security teams marked triangular impressions in the soil, scorched bark, and elevated radiation readings, all of which would later be cited as physical evidence known of an unknown event. Now, this was just night 1. Side note, I don't think I have this written down here, but one of the cool things that I noticed is that when it comes back on the second night, there is a Christmas party going on, and some of the men like see the lights or whatever. They have to go tell one of the 4-star generals or major, and they say, "Sir, we need you to come with us." And he goes, "I'm busy. What's going on?" And they just went, "Sir, it's back."
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the more famous lines from this case, and I just think it's chilling how they have to tell him, like, "Sir, it's back."
Yeah,
and he's like,
without telling everybody.
"Yeah," and he's like, "Oh shit," and so he takes off. What is that?
It looks like emblems on it.
Yeah. There was like some crazy, like, he said he saw markings, and like I said, hieroglyphs, and when he touched it, he got like something weird happened to him. We'll get there though. So on the following evening of December 26th, activity continued. Security patrols again noticed unusual lights moving through the forest. Some described a glowing red sphere weaving between the pines. Others reported white lights that behaved unlike aircraft or known natural phenomena. Although no new landing was documented, the recurrence of lights added weight to the idea that something extraordinary was unfolding. So on the third night, night 3, the most well-recorded portion of the incident occurred during the late hours of December 27th in the early morning of December 28th, when Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, then Deputy Base Commander, decided to personally investigate the ongoing disturbances. Armed with a small team, a Geiger counter, and a handheld tape recorder, Halt stepped into the forest to document what he believed might be a threat to the installation. And what he captured became the centerpiece of the case. As Hall's team moved through the woods, their equipment registered abnormal readings in the same clearing identified from the first night. Moments later, the men observed a glowing red light hovering between the trees, and at times it appeared solid, and other moments it split into several white lights that darted across the sky with sudden angular movements inconsistent with aircraft or satellites. A lot of those things are the can't remember exactly how they say it, but it's like what they look for when they're looking for evidence of UFOs to not be aircraft. How does it move? How does it react? When it makes those sharp angular motions like that, humans can't take that because your body will turn to mush because of the G forces.
Right.
So that's one of the, I guess, the mentionables that gives it the perception of being like a UFO or UAP. In one of the most dramatic sequences, Halt described a bright object sending a laser-like beam down into the forest floor and later into the base's weapons storage area. His voice on tape is a mix of excitement, confusion, and a sense of something uncanny unfolding beyond the limits of his expectations. But back on base, Halt compiled his observations into a succinct but now legendary document, the Unexplained Lights Memo, dated January 13th, 1981, and addressed to the Ministry of Defense. For years, the memo remained buried in official channels until a 1983 Freedom of Information request brought it into public view, igniting intense global interest. Now, the Ministry of Defense publicly downplayed the event, stating it posed no threat to national security, effectively closing the case. But privately, some of the MOD staff admitted the radiation readings, landing impressions, and multiple military witnesses were interesting, but not actionable. I find that weird. Why is it interesting but not actionable? You have something that's completely unexplained that literally shot like a laser into your weapon system, left radiation reading, and was like within restricted airspace of your airbase, but it's not actionable.
Right.
I think that sounds like a cover-up to me.
A big cover-up.
Yeah. Witnesses, however, did not remain silent. Over the following decades, Burroughs, Peniston, and Halt released further accounts, Peniston claiming to have received a telepathic binary code download when he touched the craft. Burroughs suffering unexplained medical symptoms later attributed by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs to environmental exposure or radiation poisoning. And Halt insisting that high-level authorities knew more than they were admitted. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Halt was visited by multiple people within different agencies to try to shut him up, because he seems to be the one that kind of talks out the most. And if you see interviews on TV or on episodes of whatever, Charles Halt's usually the one that's on there talking.
Well, I mean, how sucky is it that you saw this? You saw this.
Yep.
But I can't talk about it.
Mm-hmm. The U.S. military themselves are shutting them down. Crazy. So, some of the theories is that the Rendlesham case has drawn a spectrum of interpretations, such as misidentified lighthouse beams, which that doesn't make sense to me because, yeah, it might explain the light, but it doesn't explain the craft on the ground.
Right.
Doesn't explain the actual light going into the weapon system. I could see that maybe being the light through the trees, but not the whole thing. They thought perhaps it was bright stars such as Sirius, the possibility of a downed Soviet satellite, psychological contagion, or military stress. Yet these explanations struggle to account for the multiple trained military witnesses, physical ground traces, documented radiation variances, The precision movement of lights and halts recorded beams firing near the weapons bunkers, which I was just saying. Even some skeptics concede that Rendlesham incident remains unusual among Cold War era reports due to its convergence of testimony, documentation, and unexplained physical effects. So, part of the Rendlesham mystery's longevity stems from its sharp contrasts. A serene English forest in winter juxtaposed against Cold War tension, a rigid military structure meeting something that refused categorization, physical evidence alongside bureaucratic skepticism. Unlike many UFO stories rooted in hearsay or folklore, Rendlesham's backbone is the testimony of trained observers whose careers depended on precision and truthfulness. Moreover, the case occurred near one of the most strategically important NATO installations in Europe, an environment where unknown aerial phenomena could not be taken lightly. So today, more than 4 decades later, the Rendlesham Forest incident remains unresolved. It lies in a liminal space between official and the forbidden, between skepticism and belief, and it invites more questions than answers. What landed in the forest that Christmas week? How do we reconcile multiple eyewitness accounts with the official silence? What does it mean that a group of military personnel encountered something that they could not categorize, control, or deny? For believers, Rendlesham is evidence of something non-human intruding upon human affairs. For skeptics, it is a study in misperception. And for those who call it tween, it's one of the most tantalizing mysteries of the modern era. An event suspended between light and shadow, certainty and doubt, the rational and the profoundly strange. And that, my friends, is the Rendlesham Forest incident.
I noticed they put up a like a trail marking, I guess, that points you to
Yeah.
the site area. And I'm thinking, would I really want to take that hike
Oh, I see what you're saying.
to
But
that trail?
afraid it would be back.
Yeah, because this is the marker.
Oh, that's so cool though. It looks like I guess it's like supposed to be the shape of the crab.
And then there's a little, story about it, and it says UFO trail. But yeah, y'all would probably have to drag me.
I mean, I don't really think it. I mean, as far as I know, like nobody's like seen it come back or anything. But I'm sure they've had more reports in the area. But it would be kind of cool to just go out there and see where it happened. Like, I mean, I would go to Roswell where that happened.
But it has the radiation level of each. I
don't think they're gone now.
You don't think they've gone?
I think they're gone now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they've probably like wasted. It's not like it's like Chernobyl or anything like that. I don't think that people still get radiation sickness from it. Although that's kind of interesting. I wonder like how many people have visited like these old sites if they still do pick up like residue from it.
Right. I'd probably want to take a Geigerkin or whatever, just to make sure.
Yeah. I think like for years and years the Ministry of Defense in Britain kind of treated UFO incidents a lot like our CIA or FBI, and they kind of just sort of play it off as like something that is not true or doesn't really happen. And I think people like Nick Pope really helped push that forward. He's one of the main. He's the main guy you see that actually worked for the Ministry of Defense. He's the British guy that's on like all the UFO shows. He kind of talks like this with his British accent. He's such a cool dude. I fucking love Nick Pope, and I hate that he's getting older. We're not gonna have him around much longer, but he's such an important figure in UFO like research. And I think without him, we probably wouldn't hear about cases like this. So I think like maybe down the road it might be interesting to do a little like case study into like Nick Pope, just to sort of like deep dive into the UFO stuff.
Right.
He's such a cool character, and he's responsible for giving us what's called the Man, I'm sorry. I took my flu and COVID shot yesterday, and my brain is like mush today. I'm sorry, Friday. But anyway, it's the whatever the most famous UFO picture is. I have to look it up. I can't remember. Anyway, he's the one that found it. So we can attribute a lot of the stuff to him. Sorry, my brain is not working. I'm a little out of practice too, since it's been like a couple weeks since we recorded.
Did it land in the same spot?
In Rendlesham?
Yeah.
It was back in the same forest. I don't know if it landed in the exact same spot.
Okay.
I think he only recorded it being on the ground once, specifically. Although it's probably safe to assume that it did land
Several times.
a couple times. Yeah.
I wonder what they were looking for.
I think that because it was a strategic military base, that they probably had some heavy weapons there, being in the middle of the Cold War. So there was probably a lot of like anti-ballistics there, missile weapons, things like that. Because it was an American, Americans were there on the base, so there was probably still like stuff left over from like World War II, like lots of like anti-aircraft stuff. I don't think there was nukes there, but there was definitely like a lot of high class like arsenal things like that. And so they're probably interested in what our weapon system looked like over there. Because a lot of times when they come over here, they go to our nuclear sites and they will mess with our nukes, which is crazy.
Well, if their craft register
Sorry.
nuclear,
Yeah.
Readings, then it may help fill them up.
It's
like a gas station, kind of.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. It definitely could be like a fuel source. I think, in my opinion, I think they kind of like radiate they leave the radiation behind, because I think it's an after effect of the process of whatever they use for the anti-gravity to move around. Because they're using like anti-gravity something. That's how they're able to move.
Yeah.
Anti-gravity propulsion is the word I'm looking for. I think it's like an after effect of that. In some UFO incidents, people report seeing like what looks like metal shavings or like things falling from the ship, and they find metal on the ground. And I think that's also part of the process of like their propulsion system that keeps them going.
Interesting. It could be whatever's burning.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're creating some sort of weird fusion, and it actually creates little bits of metal because whatever it is so hot that it creates fusion. And that fusion is you use fusion a lot in like radiation stuff. So I think that's kind of where all that comes together. I think that in the Pascagoula case, Jesus, can't talk today. I think they've got a bunch of metal on the ground, and some of that metal was sent off to be analyzed because they saw it like falling into the water and around where they were abducted.
Wow.
Nobody was abducted in this case, but I just find this case so fascinating because it has so many, like, the military is so involved in this. It's not like it's just Joe Blow, in the middle of like the desert going, "Hey, I saw a UFO." These are like well-trained military people, kind of like what we're getting now when they go testify before Congress.
Right.
They provide radar imagery, infrared imagery, things like that. So you almost have to take it like for its word, or you have to take it for its word, because these are the most trained people in the world to spot anomalies in the sky.
I guess this might be where the grass is dead from where.
Is that Rendlesham?
Yeah.
Oh, so the grass never grew back?
It looks like it's there, but it's like all brown and.
Oh, that's interesting. I've also heard where when they have incidents like that where they land, that they actually change. God, I'm hitting this like a lamp. I keep going on and off. Sorry. When they land, and it actually changes the organic like compound of the ground, and so it changes it on a molecular level to become something different.
But in here it shows it like on dirt. So I guess it's maybe.
That's kind of like how where I saw it, like what it looked like. It's in the middle of like trees. The recording is wild. You hear the guy talking about it, and like I said, you can hear Charles Halt's the one that's doing the recording, and he's like very expressive and very like, we'll listen to it later. It's pretty cool. And if I can't post it on, if I can't find a way to snip it into the show, I'll post it on our socials.
And no beings came out like while they were outside.
I I don't believe they ever reported seeing any creatures. They only saw the craft.
But, they're probably thinking, them damn earthlings is probably going to kill us. Take us to the test tubes and experiment the hell out of them.
Yeah. We saw what they did with our brothers who crashed in Roswell.
Yeah,
I'm not getting out of this thing. I like the meme where it shows the aliens flying by Earth, and he's like, the father alien's like telling his son, he's like, roll the windows up, we're going by Earth. Pretty good. So I guess while we're talking about UFOs, I have a listener tale I'll read. This happened here in our little town where we live, and it's very similar to the case where the UFO landed at the school, and all the children saw the UFOs, and the creatures got out. This is a report that came from here in our town. This happened.
What? Oh.
Who killed?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
When was there?
Hold on. I'll read this for you. I wonder if you heard anything about this. I never heard about this until this guy wrote this to me. So, but he sent me a message, and I asked him to send it to our email. And if anybody else wants to share or send messages, please send it to the email, because it's easier for me to like compile everything to find it in one place as opposed to looking like 4 different locations. He says, thank you for inviting me to share my experience. The sighting happened when I was about 7 or 8 years old in 1998 or 1988 or 1989 at a playground near my school. It began with a deep, thunderous noise so loud and powerful that everyone on the playground stopped, head snapping toward the sky. It wasn't sharp like an airplane. It was more like rolling thunder, vibrating through your chest. And then we saw it, a massive craft approaching from the direction of the school. The object was enormous. Looked large enough to block out the sky, as if it passed overhead. Its shape reminded me of a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. Along the back were 5 engines, glowing with blue, heatless flames. And even before it reached the trees, the wind picked up, and as it descended, the trees surrounded the playground, bit dramatically away from it, like they were bowing in respect. It hovered above the treetops for just a few seconds. I couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow!" And I could see that the others on the playground were just as stunned. And on the bottom of the craft was a raised, crop circle-like symbol, narrow at the edges and thicker in the middle, almost embossed. The body itself tapered smoothly along the sides, with the center and rear holding an even thickness. Then, almost as if it had been waiting, the nose of the craft angled upward, and in an instant it shot off at about a 45-degree angle. The wind and the dust whipped across the playground. The trees bent dramatically, again away from its path. In just 4 seconds, it went from hovering above the treetops to a tiny dot high in the sky, disappearing from view. The entire encounter lasted only moments, but it has stayed with me for decades, and even as a child, I knew I was seeing something extraordinary, something beyond explanation. Thank you again for letting me share this memory. Please feel free to reach out if you have any more details or clarification for the show. Best regards, Samuel.
Wow. I mean, all my kids went to Oak Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I was even on the rec board there for 6 years. So,
6, 7 years? 6, 7?
6, 7. I wasn't, I guess, a native to the location until, we moved there.
Yep.
So that's very interesting. I mean, I know the playground they're talking about.
Yeah, it's right by the road.
Yeah. So, I'm just sitting here thinking as you're reading it, wow.
I'm thinking, like, why can't this shit happen to me? What the fuck happened to me?
It's 1989 or 1988?
88, 89.
Okay. So, yeah, that would have been the year Vince was born. So, That's crazy.
Yeah. Kelly and I would have been close to there in school. Would have been cool to, damn, I wish something like that would happen. Instead, we just got to go exploring in that creepy ass, basement of the old building.
I wonder what the teachers explained it to them as.
I don't know if any teacher saw it. He never says who saw it, how many people saw it. I imagine. I think he told me in a like when he sent me a message that there were others that saw it, but he actually posted it on the Facebook group asking if anybody remembered it because he was like, I know this happened. I need to know if anybody else saw it. So he was looking for like confirmation from other people as well.
Well, I mean, if it's a memory that strong, I feel like it's true. You're just maybe looking for validation,
Yeah, because
from others.
if you see something like that, like a craft that lands and then takes off, like you probably need to get some sort of validation for yourself mentally because you're probably second guessing yourself. You're probably like,
For years.
Am I crazy? Like, what's going on? Yeah, exactly. So
Interesting.
that's pretty cool.
Thanks, Samuel.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I wish more people would share with us because I love those stories. That's a good story. I'd like to hear some more ghost stories and UFOs. UFO stories this really interest me. Actually, it all interests me. So send it all. Give it to us. Have you ever seen a UFO?
I have not.
I've had like a couple instances where I'm pretty sure I saw something.
You really want to see one, though. So,
Well, I'm always looking for it.
You are.
What I think is interesting is that Samuel described in his encounter that it reminded him of Star Wars. And I have heard in multiple encounters that sometimes when people see these things, that it might appear to them in a way that they find relatable and appealing. Like, so he's probably like a Star Wars fan. He's probably, and around that time, Return of the Jedi probably came out. So it's pretty cool that when he saw something that it sort of related, presented itself in a way that he could like identify with it.
Right. That's the closest thing you can think of.
I think it's Jacques Vallée that says like when they let you see them like that, they try to give you an appearance that you can that you relate to, so that you'll remember it and have like a reference or something. I think that's how he describes it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Well, this is a short episode, but I think it's a good one. The Rendlesham UFO case is one that we could really deep dive into. I'm not sure I'm ready to do like a four episode deep dive yet. The season of the witch kind of took a little bit out of me doing all those episodes real fast, but we got to do a cool deep dive coming up soon. Maybe at the first of the year, that's what we'll do. Because we started off the podcast doing like a 3-part series. Maybe we'll find let's discuss and try to find a topic where we can what we want to do, and then we'll jump into it.
Life also happens stuff.
Yeah,
you're on a different shift.
Yeah, things have been a little weird. I've been playing like a balancing act. I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys like care about my life, but I have a mic. But yeah, things are just weird. So it's been a weird balancing act. Hopefully things will get back to normal soon, and I'll get back on a normal schedule.
Because I felt like it had been a minute, so
Yeah.
I even brought it up, and it really means a lot to Eric. He really enjoys telling you guys these stories. So I know sometimes because everything is off schedule,
Yeah.
you really don't want to push, the mic not literally the mic.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I followed Wendy around with a boom mic, like shoved in her face. Anyway, everybody, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is enjoyable. Like I said, leave us some comments. Let us know what you think. Leave some comments on Samuel's story. I'd like to hear your takes on that. You got any ideas for the future?
Or if you were there in school with Samuel?
Yeah, exactly. But if you got some ideas for the future episode, drop some of those up. We got a couple holidays coming up. And at Christmas, I'm going to try to do some themed episodes for Christmas if I can, and because I think it'd be fun to learn about some of this cool like Christmas.
Yes, would have been a good Christmas.
It would have. I thought about that,
happened.
but we're starting to get into the holiday season, so I figured I'd kick it off with the kind of a holiday sort of episode. This is just a wet our whistle. Anyway, thanks for everybody once again listening. Check out our socials: Facebook, Chronological Society Podcast.
Like, follow, share.
Exactly. Hit that alert button so that you know when we drop new episodes. Run all your favorite podcasting platforms. Tell your friends. Come find us on Instagram. I got email, the Chronological Society at gmail.com. We have merch. It's linked on our social media page. Go over there and check out what we have to offer and see if there's anything you like. Otherwise, I'm Eric.
Wendy.
And we're out.